Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 434 at scavengerlife.com.
This week was one of those weeks where I had that feeling again that we have sometimes of realizing how much I love making our own business.
Yes.
You know?
I also had that feeling.
Really?
Yeah.
We haven't talked about this.
Oh, just comparing it to certain people I know who work in offices.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like most people who have jobs, it is fun when you're in the middle of a project and you realize that we could do anything. We could do this, we could do that. I mean, it's like we're making our own choices. At the same time, we're risking our own money.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's definitely no like guaranteed paychecks to any of this stuff. You know, it's the excitement of making our own rules, solving our own problems, just making something work. And, you know, that's not something I ever knew when I was younger. We've talked about this. It's before, you know, I grew up in a family where my parents just had jobs and I had never been around people that ran their own business. So I had no idea about that. And any job I ever really had, the jobs I had, I never had the ability to solve the problems that I saw. They just expected me to do a certain task, and
that was it.
Maybe if I complained enough, they would do something about it, but mostly they would just do this thing I'm telling you to do. I don't really care if you see these other problems because that's not,
not your job.
It's not my business.
Not my job.
And it's so frustrating. And I love this because if we see a problem, we can talk about it and we can fix it. You know?
Or if someone who works for us sees a problem, they tell us we can fix it and they're actually heard.
I know.
You know, I know so many people in certain, whatever office situations where they're like, there's this thing, it's really inefficient and they should do it this way, but then it never changes and I have to do it the bad way forever, and it's frustrating. And you're like, yep, I've had jobs like that.
And this is talking about running our eBay business, but it's also we're in this period of time where we're also, we bought this building on Main Street and we're trying to do something with the downstairs. So we're thinking of, doing these things that we don't really want to get into detail about because who knows if it'll happen or not. But we're getting into it and solving these problems. Here's the thing, Ryan. Are you ready?
Am I ready?
I want to see.
Yeah.
So all this stuff is exciting. The scary part is this.
Yeah.
Spending our own money.
Right.
Yep. The personal finance world, their whole thing. I mean, a lot of them are basically make your money, put it into index funds.
Make your money at your job.
Put it all into index funds. Be real frugal. Save it all. Put it into index funds.
Yep.
Have a big pot of money and then get 4% interest off of that.
And just live off that.
We don't do that.
No, we don't.
We could, and we don't. Instead, we're rolling the dice and putting our money into these things we think are cool and fun. Does that scare you? Are you scared?
I think what scares me is when we talk to other people that don't do it that way and they're like, wow, you guys are really risky. And I'm like, really? Right. We talked to someone like that recently who's also a real estate developer in a different part of the country. And they were like, yeah, buying buildings and then using your own cash to renovate them is really risky. And I'm like, and same with any business you're trying to start, you're trying to build out whatever. It's risky.
Right, because I guess in that world, the idea would be to spend other people's money to do things.
Get investors, but...
Be a developer, but, get investors.
Well, I think also, it all boils down to ownership of property, ownership of a business, and ownership of your time.
Right.
So all those things, those risks we take, allow us to have that full ownership, which is scary because then you own all the risk and all the debt. And
Well, I'll put it in another way. When you say we're putting all of our money in, which means we eventually will own everything.
Right.
I think another way to put it is we put all of our money in and we don't have to talk to anybody. We just, we make the,
right.
and this goes back to
right.
like being able to chart our own course.
Exactly.
Versus like we have a friend that started a business and it was a lot of money. I think it was like $1 million or something to like build this business.
Minimum.
And he got a group of investors, which was mainly like friends and family who all put money in. And then we saw, it was like 5 years later, we saw, he was having to do quarterly meetings with all of his investors and be able to like write emails explaining where they are and being very stressed out.
Well, and the investors get paid first.
Right.
So we were like, oh, you must be like so rich or whatever. And he's like, no, the investors are all getting paid first. I'm making nothing.
But my point is, he was very stressed out because he's having to basically deal with the people who paid for this. And even if they didn't seem to bug him too much, which was good. But I think in his mind, he had a lot of stress of how to explain why the business isn't doing as well as he thinks it should. And he even told us his goal was just to sell the business at some point soon. Right. Pay everybody off and be done.
And like go back to grad school.
And that's why I think, again, using our own money to do these things we're trying to do makes me feel good because basically it comes down to us. When this podcast is turned off, we'll sit at this table and we just talk about things and we make it a choice.
Yeah.
And it happens,
I mean, the difference between paying for something in cash, making a decision, paying for something in cash versus going to the bank and asking permission and months of paperwork and permission. And, it's just such a nice feeling. But, so we structure things so that we can do that. I mean, we save our money. We're like, we want to do this thing. So that's 6 months of not spending any money on anything else.
Right.
So you make that decision and you can go through with it or you use it for something else.
Right. And I mean, I always think, well, what's the worst that could happen? Well, we lose all of our money. And you know what? I think about that and I'll be like, well, worst that happens is we'd have to get jobs.
Right.
Or we know we're smart people.
Or we just sell on eBay and we sell all our properties.
And that's a good thing because we don't have extravagant, like work, we don't have an extravagant life world. It's not like we would lose, it's like when you, like in some TV show or a movie, the storyline is poor kids work real hard, get a good idea, get a lot of money, they get rich, they're like in a huge house with like fancy cars and they're like flying on a jet, and then the business crumbles and then they're like they're working at like a pretzel factory or something, and it's a tragedy. Because we're not like flying in jets,
although I'd love to do that. Just FYI.
I feel like our trajectory would not be that high and low. It's like basically we would still be in our like very modest house. And
okay, I just want to interrupt you because it made me think when we had that person being like, "Oh, this is really risky," and I'm like, "Is it though?" Because it almost is like the scrappy, slow way of doing things,
right?
Because I've heard of people doing real estate or renovation deals with people that are $1 million, a couple $1 million, and it gets messed up. And you're like, that to me, I mean, I know it's other people's money, but then there's your reputation and there's a project that's never going to happen. And those are the investors you'll never work with again, so I'm like, that's like a different kind of risk, it's a different kind of risk bringing other people into your business and partnering, know? So I don't know. It's just a different perspective. Some people might say we're risky and some people might be like, that's a better way to do it. It's smarter. It's slower. It's manageable. It's within your household. All profit stays in this household.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's how I think of it.
No, that's a good way to put it. And, I don't want to get too far in the weeds on this.
That's just what we were thinking about this week.
I just wanted to bring it up because I think it is good for us to acknowledge when we feel these ways because this is a life we've chosen, and that there is risk, and definitely we don't always have this feeling like it's so great. Sometimes we have this feeling like, how are we going to pay for that thing we're trying to do next month?
Yeah, how are we going to pay? Yeah, exactly.
But
especially when eBay sales are in the can.
Yeah, but we just have to acknowledge it when it's good and bad. So
yeah, I think also like having control of your financial destiny or your business destiny or whatever. Destiny. But you know what I mean? It's like there's a freedom in that because there's creativity. Like yesterday was a good example. We were on the phone with my mom and we were kind of like spitballing ideas for this other business thing that we're trying to do. And we're like, should we do this? Should we do this? What's better? Everyone has their opinions, but it's good to talk about it because then you just come up with ideas and you either like put them away for later or you're like, we could do that. That's a creative process of like, how do we solve this problem in the most efficient and like financially beneficial way? Yeah. And those are creative problems. Those, to me, those are not like, whatever, non-creative,
Yeah. And it's really about just, to me, it's always about like trying not to be delusional. Like I'm always asking,
right? Exactly.
Is this kind of crazy what we're thinking? Like, is this really? And then asking people about things, and like it's not. There's never a guarantee, but at the same time, it's not always like a complete mystery. Right. Pulling the magical thinking away and thinking like, can this
happen? Look, we did that with our rentals. Our latest rental, I've said this on Shampoo and Booze a million times, but it keeps getting better because, we redid a 3-bedroom apartment in the crossroads of Main Street in a place where people want mountain cabins and river cabins. And you're like, was this a bad idea? Like we sunk all this money and time in a year and, all this risk, I guess. And then you're like, oh no. But actually, our gut feeling is correct, has been correct. People love the location. Yep. They love the apartment. And
it's centrally located.
It's right. So you're like, great, exactly what we were thinking. You can walk to the wine bar, you can walk to the brewery. The caverns are, less than a mile, 3-minute drive. And you're like, okay, that risk, that nervousness, it did, the gut feeling paid off. So, it's not always like that, but hopefully the bigger projects are like that.
But like when we got a very nice email from a woman who just said she found her podcast and she works a job she doesn't like, and she smokes and is trying to quit smoking.
All this stuff,
all those things we've all been through. Like, if you're just unhappy, and she found our podcast, and and she hears people like us, and I don't know. I never want to sugarcoat things like, oh, it's just so easy and all this stuff. But these are the things that are possible if you take responsibility, right, and just make good choices.
Well, also just like, put your head down and work. Like I can't stress enough how much angst can be, chopped out of your life if you just STFU and get to work,
Thanks for saying that. I was kind of going off the rails.
No, but that's always my solution when someone's like, what about this? Just shut up and work. Yeah. Like, fine, you have questions, you don't know the answer. Yeah. Just do something, And so that's my efficiency punk. That's what you say to me when I'm not doing that. You're like, are you an efficiency punk or not? I did start a subreddit, by the way, and there's two members, Jay and I.
Right, just me and we just argue on it together. Okay, the next thing is, so a week ago we talked about that we are finally, after only 11, 12 years, we're going to create an inventory system for our eBay store.
Yeah, after 12 years, we've decided it's kind of
it was
a good
a
idea.
very popular topic.
Oh my God.
We got emails,
voicemails,
on the voicemails, which you're going to hear, YouTube comments on the forum.
People emailed us like photos of their,
and it was very helpful. And everyone seems to have an inventory, a system. Very few of them are the exact same. Yeah. There's no one right way to do it. That's what that's what I know. Yeah. And so these are some things I took away, and we'll tell you where we are at. Okay.
Yeah.
So number one, we were talking about we were going to put the inventory location in the SKU number on the eBay listing.
Yeah.
And people were like, don't do that. Or don't only do that because eBay could erase all of that, and then
the custom SKU field. Yeah.
So we definitely need to put it in multiple places, and that's like a spreadsheet, and also maybe put it in the description itself.
Right.
We also, real quick, use InkFrog.
Yes.
Which copies everything.
Yes.
Like it mirrors our store.
Yeah.
So if for some reason eBay were to erase our entire store, we would have everything there as well.
Yeah, exactly. And what I need to do also is, I'm like so overwhelmed with other things, but I would like to go either into eBay or into InkFrog and just do an export. Like, what I should do is like every month, just do a snapshot.
Yep.
So that if something did happen, I could go look in that database.
Does InkFrog?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm assuming they allow you to export a database. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't assume. The thing that most programs don't let you do is export the photos, which is ludicrous to me. Yeah. But whatever.
But that could just be they don't want like people hitting their servers, because that would be a lot of like.
Yeah, but hitting their servers, you're like just download the photo. I mean, downloading shouldn't be like too much bandwidth. I don't know. Uploading is no, you're right. I don't know. That bandwidth is bandwidth.
Yeah.
Good point.
Someone said there are several reasons to keep like items together in a bin. So we were debating, do we just start like grabbing a bin and just take pictures of 20 random things and just put them all together, kind of like the Amazon does? Or do we keep it like we have now, all the pots and pans in one? And someone said, well, the good thing to keep them together in the same is if you don't do the SKU number right, so you still know it's there. And also it's for a visual inventory information, so it shows you how many items you have of any type, which kind of makes sense. Yeah. So you can be like, we're getting a little too many pots and pans because I see them all right here.
Yeah.
Instead of if they're, it's interesting.
It's just hard because like when my helper takes photos of non-clothing items, because clothing we kind of do, shoes, jackets, whatever. I'm like, here's pots and pans. Here's a vase.
Well, I mean, to be more specific, the problem for us, and it's not a problem, but the reality is this. Back when we had death piles, we could definitely do that, where we would be, here are 20 of the exact same kind of item. Thing. Because we have so many stuff, we're able to make piles of likes. Now that we basically will list everything we get, just within a couple of weeks of getting it, we never have just a pile of pots and pans. It's just we have these 100 different random items.
Here's a book. Here's a scarf. Here's a whatever.
I think we are going to go to the Amazon model.
I think so. Look, if we mess up the SKU, it's just kind of like, I don't know.
Somebody else said, don't be too precise with large items in case we choose to change things on the shelf. So, for instance, if we have like a shelf unit and the top shelf, just call the top shelf
Shelf A. Unit 7, Shelf A.
Instead of maybe like, I don't know if Amazon does this, but where it's like Shelf A, but then it's like you start doing of 4 pieces.
Right.
Because on that top shelf, you might rearrange things on that shelf over time. So that makes a lot of sense too.
Which, is true. Right.
We were checking that out.
And so I think we are going to do that. It'll be like, so there are these big shelf units. We're going to call them Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, etc. Shelf A, B, C, D, because we have 4 shelves. And then it'll be bin number 1, bin number 2, on those shelves.
So, what's our inventory status? I'll start.
Yeah.
So, it's still been overwhelming.
Yeah.
I think for you more than me.
Yeah, I just kind of stand there and I'm like...
Just to be honest. But I think that's true for a lot of stuff that we do. I think you're good... once a system is in place, you're real good about just putting your head down and making it happen.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but I was a bit overwhelmed too, but people's advice helped. So we went into our storage building yesterday, and I got white duct tape.
We did buy it at Walmart because Walmart's closer to us than Home Depot.
And I started putting tape in the places where it went to do the numbers. And the way we're going to do it is there'll be a shelf a unit that will have a number.
Right.
And then each shelf will be
A, B, C, D.
A, B, C, D.
Right.
And that's how it is. And so...
And then the bins will be numbered.
And the shelves will be I think we have 28 shelves a unit.
Okay.
So it'll be 1 through 28.
Easy. And if we add more, no problem.
And then that's just how it's going to be for us. So shelf a unit 1, shelf A, and bin 01.
Exactly.
And the bins will just be 01 to 100 or something,
It should... I like the triple numbers.
Sure.
001.
001 to 100.
No, it's not. Oh my God, how do you not understand? No, it would be bin 100. We're not going to have 1,000 bins, but it actually doesn't matter because numbers are infinite. So.
But is that true? It never stops.
Yeah, numbers never stop.
And that's good, so that way, bin 008 can move to different areas if we want them to. No, it can't.
No, it can't.
It can't ever move.
No,
right.
If you just do it by bin numbers, which you can, you can just say bin 075, right? But the problem with that is then you have your helper being where's 075?
Right. If
no,
you start moving around,
if you quickly say it's on unit 7, shelf B, you can't move that around. So this is okay.
So this is our other question that we had, that maybe I had, was we have things in bins, and sometimes those bins are overflowing with pots and pans or something. Do we take them out of the bin so you can see them, or is it better to keep them in the...
Yeah, so no. You have to keep it in bins. You have to keep it in bins because then you can hold a lot more inventory. You can't just spread everything out on a flat thing because there's not enough surface space. I'm having that problem right now with certain things that these are industrial level shelves. So they have 30 inches between. Well, you can't stack stuff 30 inches. Right. You just need. So that doesn't make sense. Yeah. It just can't. It can't work like that. It can with delicate things, but the problem with that even is I'm stacking plates, and it's a nightmare.
To be specific, we have 4 or 5 shelves that are dedicated to pottery and china. And like Ryan says, there's a lot of space going up and down.
Right.
But the only space that really matters is...
the surface.
Surface space, because we can only stack things, maybe a foot tall before it gets precarious, and then things...
And then you can't see stuff. Yeah.
So, okay, I swear I'm going to...
Yeah, wrap it up.
Done. So what we're going to do is, our helper, we're going to start taking bins down. We'll give her 2 bins at a time. We'll put a number on them and a location, and she'll go through and start typing that into
the SKU and
all the places we're going to put it. Now, when it comes to the shelves where we have just all this pottery, I think me and you are going to do that, where it'll be a wintertime project.
Yeah, nice and cold in that back building.
We'll do one shelf at a time.
Yeah.
And me and you will just go through and just be I mean, it's not as many things as we.
No, it's not as many things
is.
as you think. It's a lot, but look. So just let me cut in here for God's sake. This week I actually had my helper fill in the inventory, the things that do have bin numbers or lot numbers. I had her fill them into the custom SKU because they're in the description already. Yep. She got through a ton of stuff in 12 hours. Right. It was less than 12 hours.
Right. I think it's going to go faster than you think it was.
I think so. I mean, yeah. So, yeah, I don't think it'll be that bad.
Yeah, but like we said, and like I've always said with anything we do, all this stuff is finite. It seems like it goes on forever,
but it is finite.
Yeah, we have a certain number of stuff. We have a certain number of shells.
Well, and the other thing too is we're probably not going to do an inventory as detailed with clothes, and clothes is a third of our inventory. So that stuff's just it probably needs to get rearranged.
I actually checked on eBay. We have about 1,800 pieces of
1,800
men's and women's clothes and shoes and belts and hats. So but again, that's finite. Okay, we're done.
Yeah,
Stop talking about it.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
eBay.
Oh my God. eBay.
So one thing you were giving me pushback a week ago, where I was like, we're not really scavenging, and like that's why we're not selling a lot. And you were like, we are listing, we're actively listing. I get that.
Yep.
Here's my caveat to that.
Yep.
This is my hypothesis. When we're not actively scavenging on a regular basis, our sales do go down because right now our store is becoming almost 100% a long tail store.
Yeah.
Almost, because when we're actively scavenging, we'll go out and buy 100 things. 10 or 20% of those things are things that sell fast.
Ish,
and so we're getting these like high value items in our store that people want. When we're not scavenging, we're basically just continuing to put in just kind of like long tail items that just take longer and maybe don't sell for as much. And that's just my point.
Okay.
That's all. It's not good or bad.
Yeah.
Reality.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what to say.
You don't have to.
Sure, I agree.
One other thing I think that was interesting, I guess I should put this maybe in the, like what we learned in the its forum, but I'm just going to put it here because I think it's interesting. I think it was My Cottage who comes on our forum. I think it's a she.
We should, it doesn't matter.
They said that eBay was popular in the early days because it was a form of entertainment.
Interesting.
And that's an interesting, I'd never thought of that before. In the earlier days of the internet, there wasn't Netflix and online games and all this stuff, Facebook, and that auctions on eBay
were like something to do.
Were like things that people were really excited about doing.
Yeah.
And now eBay has really just become another place to buy things.
Yeah.
And we all know that there's a lot of those places now. And that, eBay is still popular now because it's got the momentum of just having so much stuff on their site.
Right.
But that as more sites come online, it's new people that sell just become like, I'm not going to sell on eBay. I'll just sell only on Poshmark because that's like my jam.
Right.
And that's an interesting thing, and that younger people aren't coming to eBay. It's remembering when it was a form of entertainment.
Yeah, they're like, this is something my parents use, or whatever. Although, I still think we sell to like younger people.
Well, I still think eBay has that. I mean, really, like eBay has that thing. Like, if you want like a weird owl mug, you could go to Etsy. It's smaller, so maybe not as much stuff on there. But eBay is a place to go for that kind of stuff.
Totally.
I mean, Poshmark, sure, you go for your, your like snakeskin boots, but
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it. Okay, numbers. We sold 49 items.
That it felt like it.
That's great. Unfortunately, the average price was $26.
Or, yeah, God. I'm surprised it wasn't lower.
So we made our gross sales. This is not including shipping, but it's before all the expenses. $1,311.
Okay, well, at least we hit the 1,000 mark.
Yeah.
But look, I mean, so yeah, so many returns. So many returns.
Okay, you're skipping ahead, but yes, it's not as many as you think. It's more than 0.
It's painful. One of them was a $90 jacket.
It's less than 5.
And a $75 jacket.
Right. So it's more than a 0. It's less than 5.
Okay.
And when we are starting to sell a lot more clothes, and just clothes, people are just changing their mind, and it's just the nature of it.
It's just what it is. It just sucks. You're like, oh, I finally sold that blazer for $75.
I know.
I'm so happy. Nope, returning it. Doesn't fit. I have to pay the shipping back.
Yep.
Great. Love it.
So let me ask you, because we changed our handling time to 2 days.
Yes.
We no longer are able to get top rated seller, right?
No. Okay, this is the ridiculousness.
Top rated seller plus.
Right. So we get top rated seller because of whatever criteria.
Top rated seller plus. So we're not getting.
We don't get. Look, you get top rated seller and you essentially get nothing.
You're ranting.
Sorry.
Stop ranting. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So we're no longer getting top rated seller plus.
Correct.
So we're no longer getting the 10%.
Correct.
Should we just turn off free returns? Because the only reason why we had free returns is because we're trying to, keep jumping through the hoops to get the 10%.
So turn off free returns.
Yeah, just turn off free returns.
That's a good point.
Because, the only benefit...
we'll take returns.
Yeah,
but if they're like, it doesn't fit, great, you pay for the shipping.
Right.
You pay the X amount of dollars to send you.
Because the only reason why we did that was it was making sense because we're getting 10% off our final value fee. So we were like, any free returns we were having to eat would make up with the 10%.
Right.
But now that we're not getting 10%. Okay. See?
Done.
See? That's how business people do it. That we saw a problem.
No, that's a good idea. I think my extreme was that I was like, turn off returns.
Oh, no.
But people would just say it was defective and then you can return it.
Let me ask you something. Let's see how honest you can be. Let's say I wasn't a part of this business.
Okay.
Because eBay was something that you started.
Yeah.
If I was not a part of this business, what kind of seller do you think you would be? Would you be someone that would be like, no returns?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I would be. I would be more cutthroat. I tend to be, I don't know what the word is, like more pessimistic or more like you're definitely the optimist in our couple, in our partnership, our relationship. Don't you think?
Yeah.
I feel like you're way more optimistic than me. I'm more just like,
I guess,
I don't know what I am.
Well, I guess when it comes to eBay, I don't assume people have like bad intentions.
No, I don't assume that either. I think I'm getting to the point where I feel like people, and this includes us because you pointed this out, we've become Amazonified, where you're like, nope, don't want it, send it back. I don't have to pay a dime, because that's what Amazon allows.
I also think, and I don't buy into the whole men and a women paradigm where like a women are more emotional, because I see lots of men, and I'll talk about one soon, who like on eBay who are very emotional. Like, this guy wants to return it.
He's a scammer.
I'm going to shut it all down. They're just as emotional as anyone. But I think for me, I just see that there is a logic in not getting emotional about someone that wants to return a jacket. There is no upside to becoming emotional about that and taking that stuff personally.
Right.
Know the rules. And so one of the rules are, if doing free returns is no longer a benefit to us, just turn it off. We can see if our sales drop, but I
don't think so.
I honestly don't think free returns. And if people are purposely buying things, like they're using that filter, show me only things I can return for free, maybe we don't want those buyers.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's a really good point. I actually forgot until you just said that there is a button on the side that says free returns. I didn't even think of that. So
right. Yeah. So we'll gladly take a
return for 30 days, any reason, like we always have. We've always done that.
I don't need to
pay $8 return shipping on a jacket. You know?
So I'm going to send you an email right now.
Yeah,
that says, Ryan,
remind me.
Remove free returns.
Yeah.
Okay, Ryan Hudson. Remove free, and this is how we this is how we communicate.
This is like every email that's unread in my inbox is just a note to myself to do something, not a joke. And once that's my to-do list is my email. Okay. Once I'm done with it, I delete it.
So we skipped over a couple of things. Things we sold. There's really nothing of interest to talk about. Random
low price junky
stuff we've had in store for a long time, but you know what? Hey, we made enough money
it's sold,
to pay our mortgage and bills.
Yeah,
so that's
exactly.
Great. Scavenger of the week. I mean, we bought a couple things, but nothing.
Just not even worth mentioning.
We don't even have on the agenda to go to any auctions or anything. We're just. Again, we're not really in that
You
mode.
might be able to do some scavenging next week, though, because I will be doing something for 3 days straight.
Yeah.
And you're going to...
Ryan is taking a continuing education course.
Yeah, and it's 3 straight days. Yep. And I'm like, that's nuts. But that's just what it is.
Yeah.
We won't say what it is because it's related to a future business. But...
I will say we're not trying to be coy about all this stuff, but I don't like to talk about things until they really happen. Right. If it happens, we will gladly talk about it. We'll talk about the details.
Totally. But for now, it's sort of like I don't like to talk about things because plans change. Like we've had other ideas, and we're like, we're not going to do those. And also, it's just it's dumb to talk about until they happen. Customer issues. Yeah. Yep, we talked about returns. We will say something about a customer issue where we're the customer, and it's not an issue, it's just something interesting. We bought a shower curtain, like just a shower curtain. It came wrapped in like tissue paper with a bow
tied. It had a handwritten card, that you flip open,
several sentences.
It also came with a pack of like Halloween cards that we could send to other people. And the curtain cost $16 with free shipping. I'm looking at this package. Number one, most people are Amazonified, as I said. You get the package, you open the thing. Is it what you wanted? Yeah, great, perfect. Throw it up onto the shower curtain. You're just like, don't care. But, this person, they must be a very small seller. I mean, they hand wrapped it in tissue, tied a bow in satin ribbon, right?
Hand wrote a note in sparkly pen with my name. I'm just like, you got time to do it.
So it was a very good experience, but
unnecessary.
I just, that's the kind of stuff you do if someone buys like some specially $100 item.
I don't even do that. Yeah. Are you kidding me?
So anyway, I'm saying I could imagine
that's what it was.
That kind of worked.
Yeah, sure.
But anyway, it was very cute. It was very nice.
Yeah, but it's unnecessary. So anybody doing that, thinking that they're going to get better feedback, look, I'm going to give them great feedback anyway. It's what I wanted. It was a great price. Yeah. They shipped it really fast.
Yep.
That's all I need.
Okay, other things we learned in the forum. There's a couple. Autumn Forest, who's relatively new in our forum.
I like that name.
She says she has death piles of stuff she doesn't list because she's afraid of undervaluing it. So normally we talk about death piles growing because it's like a bunch of junk that's really low dollar. You're like,
it's the other way around.
Like, this is my $10 item pile.
This is junk.
Like, is it even worth my time? Yeah. She says it's the opposite. For her, she's putting stuff in there that she thinks might be very valuable, and she's afraid of listing it to under. And she says doing the stuff that is not expensive is very easy for her because she doesn't feel. And this is why we price high with make offer.
Right.
So if you have an item, do the a research on it. Just if you have a feeling it's worth a lot, put a high price on it with make offer. So that way people will start making you offers, and then if all the offers are, at like $75, and
you're like, okay,
that's basically what the market is, and then you make your choice.
Yeah, I listed a sun catcher. I found it in a dusty, dirty old box at a yard sale.
Explain it, sun catcher.
A sun catcher, it's like a piece of glass or acrylic or whatever that you hang in the window, and the sun comes in and it looks cool. So this thing caught my eye at the yard sale in Massachusetts when we were up there. And I was it's so funny because I was like, oh, that's cool. And I didn't pick it up. Why we do that, I don't know. And I was like, whatever.
No. Why?
When I say we, I mean Scavengers. Why are you that's super cool and you don't get it? So anyway, I did get it by the end. I was like, oh, I'll throw this in the box of stuff we're buying. Ends up, it's this really expensive, rare Scandinavian glass, Costa Boda, which is a brand that I keep finding over and over. I'm like, why do I keep finding this in different places? But I put it up. I was like, I think I bought it for $2, and I put it up for $300 because I'd seen others sell for $150-ish. And I'm like, mine's the only one online right now. So therefore, $300 best offer. Because why not?
Yeah.
Someone might offer me $150 and I'd be like, sold.
Right.
But
basically, it's it's like the opposite of an auction.
Right.
You start high and people give you offers instead of starting a small price, hoping that people bid it
up. Yeah.
But then the risk is it's going to sell low. When you price high and make offer, there's really no downside.
Yeah.
As long as we're patient. That's
right. Exactly.
Okay. So anyway, thank you, Autumn Forest. A newer person also came on our forum, and I hope he takes this the right way. But he came on and he was like, I hate eBay. eBay's the worst. I found these Xerox printer ink things, and they're
expensive. Yeah.
Very expensive. I put them up, and they got removed for a Vero. How dare my rights get whatever.
Look, you know what?
He was so angry.
I agree. So there you go.
And he was asking everybody should I just go ahead and put them back up? And because they're really worth a lot. And everyone was like, why risk your store? And also, eBay, the Avero program, I mean, it's not really eBay's fault.
They just take stuff down when people ask them to.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
And that, and that's it's reality these days. I mean, if you sell on Amazon, this is so true, where these big brands will only allow things to be sold through
them.
Authorized people.
Exactly.
So and you can send in a bunch of stuff to Amazon, and Amazon will be like, nope, you can't sell this.
Gated. It's gated.
Turned out, he took people's advice. He put it on Craigslist.
Yep.
Someone in another state
either Craigslist or Facebook, something like that.
And someone bought it for the high price
and he shipped it to them.
Yeah. And
they gave him a FedEx label.
Right. And so
great.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
So it's all good.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I mean,
and he was like, I kind of got a little crazy there. Everything.
I mean, I've been Vero'd on things, and it's super annoying because you're like, what do I do with this thing now? I know people want this thing. Yeah. And then you're like, what?
And it's that kind of thing where if I took this to court, in a court of law, I have every right to. And it's all true, but
what can you do?
I don't know.
No, that's a pain. It really is.
Yeah. So, but I think everything turned out well.
Good.
Okay, let's go to the comments or questions that people sent in.
You can always call our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486. Or you can email us a file from your phone. And our email is thescavengerlife@gmail.com.
Hi, my name's Wayne. I have a business called In Time with Music, and I sell music memorabilia. Just opened a new eBay store. I'm working on that, so I'm in the early stages. Thanks very much for all your pointers. Your information has been valuable. Now, I owned a music store for many years, and there was thousands of SKUs in it, so hopefully I can shed some light on an easy inventory system. This would be a SKU number that includes 7 digits. The first 2 digits relate to your main eBay category. In your case, Ryan, your first category is clothing, so that would be 01. Your next, collectibles, 02. Home and garden, 03. Then you move to Tier 2, your subcategory, which would be men's clothing, and you give that a single digit, 3. That allows you up to 10 or 9 digits, actually, I guess 10 if you count 0, for Tier 2 subcategories, which is a lot. Then you move to your third tier category, which would be shoes. So clothing, men's, then shoes. That would also get a single digit. That gives you 9 more. Now, your actual item, depending on how big your store is, could have up to 3 digits. You could have more if you have a huge store. So let's say men's shoes, a certain item would be 999. Take, for example, your Keen Anchorage brown black leather shoes. That would be 01319999. Now, the advantage of that is that you can put that on a spreadsheet easily. All your items then are categorized in subcategory, Tier 2 category, Tier 3 category, individual items, all in numerical order on your Excel spreadsheet. You can also put those categories on your financial statement at the end of the year, so you know exactly how much you did in men's shoes. Now, to take it a step further, you can make it geographical in your warehouse. Let's say you have, let's say your warehouse is a bedroom, and you put 3 shelves on the wall in front of you, 3 shelves on all of the other walls, so that the shelf in front of you is 12 o'clock. The shelf to the right of that is 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and all the way around the room like Bill Haley in the Comets. So you can do that for your staff so that a new staff member can walk in and go, oh, I got to ship this Keen Anchorage brown black leather shoes. So they're right in front of me on the right-hand side. And that way, geographically, your inventory lines up, as well as your spreadsheet lines up, as well as all the categories in your eBay store line up. I've simplified things there, and it varies from person to person how many items you might want to have and how you store your items. But if you start at the beginning doing that, it's sure a lot easier in the end, as I think you're going to find out. But I highly recommend that. Thanks very much for everything you do, and that's Wayne at In Time with Music.
Yeah, thanks for that very detailed explanation of how you do inventory, and I think it's very cool. And this is an example of like a good handful of the responses we got. And I find that people that have run their own stores in the past, like other kinds of businesses, like a record store, or and Mike from Atlanta had like a printing shop, right. And these guys have very. I mean, he says it's a simple, and I guess it is simple in some way, but it's very detailed and extensive, and I think it's very cool. I think for us, we're going to go in a much simpler direction.
Well, ours is location-based. Right. It's not category-based because, look, there are times yesterday we were putting away inventory that had been photographed and listed, and, there are times where I'm holding something and I'm like, what category does this go into? It should just be location-based.
I mean, I can't stress enough, though. Like, if you have a record store, everything is a record. So you're inventorying stuff by, I guess, music types and maybe by the band name.
Right.
It's all kind of in a small Venn diagram.
Right.
We have so many different kinds of items.
Yeah.
Some stuff, it's like, it's hard to even know how to categorize it. That, we can't be that detailed.
Like, look, here's an example of an item I put away yesterday. It was like a pair of brass metal kind of trays. But I was like, should this go in the large metal box? Should it go with trays? Should it go with kitchen metal?
Is it like home decor?
Is it? Yeah, you're just like...
And, it could be any of those things.
Right. But I need it location.
I guess my point is just, we honestly, we only need to solve the issue of just helping, being able to find things easier. So we're going to build a system that's simple enough to handle that and to get people to the right area and go from there.
I just think it's different for everybody. That's... That's it.
Hi, Jay. Hi, Ryan. It's Dave Nickel from Detroit, Michigan calling again. The inventory system you're describing sounds exactly what I use. And there is no way to guarantee that you're not going to misplace an item. I still have that happen to me and run around going through multiple boxes. And when that happens, I generally go back and see when I listed the item and then look for other items that were listed around that time and where I might have screwed up a box number and find them that way. But it does still happen, but that happens without an inventory system as well. The beauty of having all kinds of different items in a box, I heard you saying about having 5 or 6 pair of Levi's is I only put there's such a varied amount of things in the box that if you're looking, like when I post ephemera or paper goods, I usually put them on a cardboard backer and in a plastic bag right away so they don't get damaged in the box. And then I put a small inventory sticker that I get from Amazon on it so I can locate it right away if there's more than one. But like if you're looking for a pair of jeans and there's only 2 pair of jeans in that box, it's not that hard. And then breakable stuff I'll throw in bubble wrap mailers and some really fragile stuff I will box like it's ready to ship because I know I'm not going to want to go through that when it sells. So I'll package it and I'll write in the description that it's a loose item or boxed item. If it's too big for a box, I say loose and then the area that it's in, or if it's fragile, I say boxed and then the area that it's in so I can go find it. But I hope that helps. That's what I do though. I go buy stuff and I have extra box. My neighbor works for Detroit Diesel and I get these fantastic, triple wall cardboard boxes with like bottoms on them that stack and I use those. And I just grab a box and I list it and it goes right back in the numbered box and I put the number in there and, it makes it much easier to find stuff when there's only one item like that in that box. So hope this helps. I love listening to podcasts and, good luck on everything you do. Bye.
Yeah, that sounds really similar to what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And, it's funny when he said, there were times where he misplaced things and he would go and look what was listed at the same time. I've totally done that, where there was an item that got listed with a bunch of salt and pepper shakers, but it wasn't a salt and pepper shaker. It was like a box. And I just could not find this little metal box. And then I was like, I looked at the date. Okay, they were listed at the same time as like 5 salt and pepper shakers. I stared at this. There's a box of salt and pepper shakers. We have them. And I'm like, there it is. It was just bundled up with it. It's like you have to do this, like, even if you do have an inventory system, it's like a mystery treasure hunt.
But I will say 99.9% of the time, we find everything within a couple of minutes. And I think that this inventory we're doing is not really for us because we could continue to...
I could find stuff.
To do this forever because we don't have a real problem. This is purely to help other people be able to find stuff in a relatively timely manner.
Yeah, so, and that's the whole point is because I need someone to ship.
I think it's one thing that's interesting how he said he will pre-box stuff that's very delicate. Right. And it's so funny because I get that. Like when we first started deciding to maybe we will get this pottery or this really
glass
delicate
thing.
China thing. And I mean, it was just so it's new to us. We also did that too. I was like, well, why don't we pre-box this because we can't just throw this in a bin. And so actually in our inventory, we have a shelf of pre-boxed stuff. There's 20 of them.
Yeah.
Now we have 8 shelves
of China.
of China that is stacked up. There is no way we could pre-box it. It would take up half of our
it would take some. My mom does
warehouse.
that too. We were on the phone with her yesterday and she's like, I just don't know why you don't pre-box things. I'm like, do you know how, I have so much stuff.
I think it's a matter of volume, if you're selling, if you have 28 little China trinkets that are very delicate, box them up. They take up a whole shelf. Yeah. That's your inventory.
Right.
If you have 500 of them, how are you going to box those up and then store them in I mean, we can't do that. So, period.
Hello, Scavengers. This is Jake calling from SoCal. Thanks for the show, and I have a couple questions. Well, actually, one question. If a customer asks to return an item because they feel it's not as described, do you make them go through the return policy on eBay, or do you let do you just send them a label on your own? I'm thinking there might be pros and cons to both. A pro of sending a label on your own is your eBay metrics don't get dinged. But I'm also thinking it might be better to leave a paper trail if they're a return scammer. But at the end of the day, I'm not sure what good that will do. Anyway, be happy to hear your thoughts, what you guys do in that situation. Thanks.
I make people go through the return system, and it's mostly because I want a paper trail. I want it to be official through eBay. But if I pay for a label through free returns, which clearly I'm not going to anymore because I'm turning that off, then if they don't ship it, I don't have to pay for that label. Right. If it's outside the eBay return system and I buy like a PayPal label for $5 or whatever, depending on what it is, then I've already paid for that. Like it's paid for, and it's just a label they throw away if they don't use it. So I don't know. I think it's good to go through the system. And look, I want to say like 30 to 40% of the time, people are like, I'm unhappy with this thing. And then you're like, cool, return it. They don't do anything. They don't open a return. They don't ask for a label. Right. So if you're like preempting that by like sending a label and paying, like, don't do that. Yeah. I don't think it's worth it. Most people are just fishing for money back.
Trust the process.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
Hey, Jay and Ryan. My name is Mike. I run MK Frog Treasures on eBay. Been listening to you guys on the podcast for a few years now, and I feel like we are besties. You guys are amazing, and I want to thank you for everything that you've done to improve my life and business on eBay. You guys are amazing. I'll be brief and concise. I do have one question, and I'd like to see if you guys would go in depth on this subject, and it's selling an item on eBay for pickup only. If you can describe the process, I've been selling on eBay for a few years, but I've never sold a pickup only item, but I'd like to sell something that's large and can't be shipped, and I just don't know the proper way of going about it and to try to protect myself. Like, do you use cash only? Do you still use PayPal? Do you get them to sign receipts? If you could just go over the process. I know you guys have mentioned that you've done pickup only items before, but if you could do that, I'd appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and thank you for all that you do. Take care.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like every time I go over how we do the free pickups on eBay, people point out how I'm going to get scammed and it's going to be a horrible mess and I'm overlooking things. I keep it real simple.
Yeah.
So we have a local free pickup. That's the only way for people to buy the item. So someone buys it.
Yeah.
I message them and be like, all right, let's arrange a pickup. I make them pay beforehand.
Through PayPal.
Right. So they have to pay. Even if they're like, well, I'll just bring cash. I'm like, nope. I will not give you my address until you, pay me. So that way, because what often happens to us is someone buys it and maybe they might be 3 hours away. It sometimes can take them a month or two to come and pick it up.
Right.
But if we make them pay beforehand, I don't care.
Right.
It does not matter to me.
Forever.
Because the worst that happens is they never show up and I still have the item and I have the money and everything's good.
Right. Like you have the advantage if you have the money and you have the item. Right. It's up to them to figure it out. Unless we delivered a chair that was many hours away because we wanted that chair gone and I wanted to keep that sale.
Right. So, I mean, that's the other thing. What often happens, not often, but sometimes happens, someone buys something. Instead of reading free a local pickup, they think, or so they say, they thought it meant free shipping.
Right.
And so then they're like, oh, I want to cancel this. And then so sometimes if it's in a reasonable distance and we're hungry for a sale, and if it's over like $300 or something, we have often
driven it
over there, and we'll say, we'll pay us another $100 and we'll do that,
In that,
okay, so going back to, so then the person pays through PayPal, and then I just say, tell me when they want to come. They tell me when. I'm here. They come.
Right.
They pick it up, and they go. And I don't take pictures of them. I don't take pictures of their car. I don't
The good thing is, look, if you're coordinating through eBay messages about when you're going to pick up and when, this person is going to pick up and, hey, thanks for picking it up, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's your paper. I've never had a problem.
Well,
really.
I mean, so here's where people are like, oh, you're going to get scammed. So, someone comes, they pick it up and they take it away, and then they go home and they're like, where's my item? And then I don't have any proof they picked it up. Right. I don't have, And I guess that technically that could happen, but I've never had it happen. And I don't know. If you're, I think if you're the kind of person that is that worried and sees that that's what's going to happen to you, then maybe don't do free local pickup.
Yeah, it is a good question, though, because, like, it is true. What happens if, they buy a chair from you, it's $200, they come and pick it up, you have the paper trail, and then on PayPal, they're like, never received item. Well, so what do? You call PayPal and you're like, they picked it up.
People say, you when they come and pick it up, you print out the piece of paper,
and have them sign
the invoice, and make them sign it. But then I'm like, well,
PayPal's still going to be like,
they can just say, I didn't sign that.
Yeah, so, I don't know.
Yeah. So I tend to trust people with good intentions. I think everyone that's ever bought anything from us are just like cool, normal people that are just buying some weird, cool, collectible, big chair, piece of art, and it's all good. So
yeah.
Okay, that's it for today. You can check out our blog. Talk about this at forum at scavengerlife.com/forum. And that's where we all kind of hang out and talk about stuff. Good place to ask questions. And Ryan just posted a photo of something we found. We can't figure out, if it's that like horseshoe thing.
Yeah, I posted this like brass thing that looks like a horseshoe with horns. It looks like it's from Thailand or something. My helper couldn't figure out what it was. Right. I couldn't figure out what it was. The forum's great for that. Right. I love those posts.
What is this thing?
What is it?
And honestly, a lot of people can figure stuff out.
Yeah.
You can call and leave a question or comment on our voicemail line.
The phone number is 540-407-8486. You have 3 minutes to leave a message.
If you're new, I just always like to remind people we post every week on a Monday. Oftentimes it shows up on Sunday nights. It's on YouTube, or you can download it through iTunes or whatever thing
whatever RSS reader, if that's still a thing.
Someone asked us why we aren't on Spotify. I don't really understand how you get on Spotify.
I just haven't looked it up. If anybody knows, you can tell me.
Yeah, I mean, if there's something special we'd have to do, I just got to figure that out.
Yeah.
And Wednesdays we post our what sells of the video or what's sold, and that's done by Steven Schultz. Shows all the kind of cool stuff he buys. Ryan, do you have anything else you want to add?
Go listen to Shampoo and Booze. It's on YouTube if you want to. I'm going to start making videos, I think. We're going to start making videos.
Whoa, I didn't know this.
Yeah, so that might be our new direction. I shouldn't be saying this if it's not going to happen, but I'm pretty sure it's happening today. Yeah. So
Because it is strange. I think one reason when I was doing Shampoo and Booze, the two of us, we stopped doing it after 50 episodes because we weren't getting the community we were hoping for like we do with Scavenger Life.
I mean, it's kind of amazing because I feel like people who host on Airbnb are also like independent workers who work in isolation, at your house. So, I just thought I really like talking about design. Like, that's what my sister's into, too. So I kind of want to go in and start, like, making videos about Airbnb and short-term rental design. And
I had no idea.
Yeah, I mean, videos like it's got to be sustainable for us because we both have kind of like a time crunch where we have so much other things going on. But I'm like, I want to be able to do this because it's fun. Yep. So anyway, shampooandbooze.com.
Cool. Okay. That's it for today. That's all. And I don't know. That's it.
Sell trash and be free. Oh, you're forgetting your catchphrase?
Sell trash. Be free.
We're ending this podcast in 3, 2, 1.
Bye.